Hello, everyone, and good evening to each and every one of you who is connected with us today for this day three of Industry Connect. And to all of you, today is the day three, and to let you know about our today's speaker, it is going to be delivered by Mrinal Jain. And talking about Mrinal, so as like a professionally, he is a front-end developer for Witty Feeds. But if you're talking about like for his like passion wise, he is a tech speaker, a community lead at Facebook Developer Circle, and a tech evangelist. And also, he is very much fond of Mozilla. So, to be honest, today's session is all going to be about Flutter. If you don't know what Flutter is, it is a product by Google, and today Mrinal Jain sir is going to talk about that. So, if you are if you want to build apps or anything, if you want to do it, if you have tried Flutter anytime, you will enjoy this webinar. So make sure to stick around and you'll make sure to learn something new out of it. And without wasting further time, I'll just pass it over to Mrinal sir, and I'll let him introduce himself to all of you. So hello Mrinal sir, and good evening.
Hi Omkar. Good evening, and thanks for inviting me for sharing my knowledge on Flutter. I hope it would be a very informative and learning experience for all the attendees who are present here today.
Yes, absolutely.
So, should we begin?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Great. I request you to just add my shared screen to the stream so that everyone can have a look of what we'll be doing today. So great. Also, if you can just remove my video from the screen so that it would be easier for people to just have a look at the complete screen.
Yeah, sure.
Great. Uh, yeah. Uh, so good evening, everyone. Um, so as Omkar has already introduced me, I'm Mrinal Jain. I'm working as a front-end engineer for Witty Feed, also a community manager for Facebook Developer Circles. So these are the two things which I'm doing as of now currently. For today's session, we'll be having a brief look at what exactly Flutter is and uh, to whom it suits to develop apps in Flutter. Be it a web developer, be it a person who is already into mobile application development, or be it a designer. So I'll discuss all the use cases, and so let's begin with the session. Meanwhile, if anyone has any questions regarding the topic which I am talking about, be it right now in the live stream or be it afterwards once the video is uploaded on the YouTube channel or wherever, just feel free to ask your questions in comment section. I'll try to answer all of them. Great. So let's begin with the session. So that's a few steps about or pointers about what I have been doing from past 3-4 years in the community. I'm working as a developer circle lead. I'm also a Mozilla representative. I used to contribute as a Microsoft student partner as well previously. I'm a community manager for Free Code Camp, a community which is available for all the initial stage developers to learn all the basics of programming like JavaScript and Python. I'm also an international partner at Power of Code, which teaches basic coding skills to school students, and also a developer evangelist and front-end developer for Witty Feed. So that was the basic introduction about myself. So let's begin the session now. Great. So agenda for today I've already mentioned. We'll try to figure out what is Flutter and what are the basic steps, how we can use it, and for who exactly the Flutter is. So so the very first question, what is Flutter? We'll try to figure out who's and what's and where of all this programming language. So if I talk about Flutter, in simple language, Flutter is a mobile SDK which is designed by Google. Obviously, you might be knowing. and it's used for designing high performance applications. So this was the basic definition of Flutter. Now, when we talk about high performing applications, there are different platforms on which we use applications, right? Platform can be differentiated on the basis of their operating system. That's the one major differentiating factor. Also, platform can be web as well as mobile. These can be also two different platform specifications. Now, the best part of Flutter is, be it any platform, you just need to write one single uh, uh, code base. You need to write code in just one single code base, and the Flutter SDK will give you output for all these multiple platforms. So now if we try to simplify what Flutter is, so Flutter is again a SDK which is designed by Google, and it gives you output of different mobile applications, which can be a iOS application, which can be an Android application, a web application, a Mac OS application, a Linux or a Windows platform application. So it's a list of like 6 platforms, and you must have heard that all these 6 platforms might be having different way of developing apps, correct? If you are developing an app for Android, you will be needing Kotlin and Java and all that stuff, correct? If you are developing an app for iOS, you need to learn Swift and stuff. Similarly, for all the other platforms, for web, you need to be good at React or Angular or HTML, CSS, all that you need to know. For every platform has a different learning curve, but if you are developing an app with Flutter with just one single code base, Flutter will make sure that it gives you an output of all different languages. So this is the one major advantage of using Flutter, correct? So yeah, that I hope that clears what Flutter is and how important it can be to learn Flutter. Because uh, just imagine writing one single code base and getting an output of like 4 to 5 different platforms. So this is the basic information about Flutter, and specifically all the open source community members are contributing to this SDK or this platform. So the development phase and the improvement pace is very high. So it's becoming more and more feature rich every day. Day by day, it's becoming very easier to use. So that's what Flutter is, right? Now, so we have cleared the first step, what Flutter is. There's also a small misconception about Flutter, because I guess a lot of people might be listening this Flutter term for the first time. A lot of you might have heard about Flutter previously and might have heard that Flutter is the uh, response from Google to what Facebook was creating as React, correct? You might have heard about this term, that Flutter is just an alternative for React. But uh, that is not the case, basically, because if you have a look at React, React uses 2 to 3 different technologies to make applications, correct? You use HTML for the UI part, and then CSS, and then JavaScript, all these 3 things to work with the React framework, correct? If not HTML, there is JSX in React. But on the other side, talking about Flutter, Flutter just uses one single programming language, which is Dart. Dart. We'll talk about Dart later, but Flutter uses just one single programming language, Dart, which is used to write the business logic as well, which is used to create components, UI components, and which is used to design the UI components as well. All these 3 things are taken care by just one programming language, which is Dart. So just imagine, just you need to learn one programming language to cover all 3 concepts of creating an app, and at the end you get an output of 5 to 6 different platforms: iOS, mobile, web, Android, and all the stuff. So it's very easy to just learn one language rather than learning 2, 3, 4 different languages, right? So that's where Flutter is very useful. and Dart being a feature rich language, and it's easier to understand. Even designers can also learn the Dart and create at least basic applications or MVPs in Flutter. So these are the two use cases which I think for developers definitely there's lots and lots of support, but also designers can also just get hands on Dart and create or convert their designs into a working design if they want to. So that's the two use cases of Flutter, that almost from top to bottom in development cycle everyone can use Flutter. So that is there. Now another question, another thing. Why we should basically use Dart? Or even before going why, I have a few another example of like who exactly should use Flutter. So for example, it's not just about like designers or developers, but there's one another scenario where there are lots of startups, correct? So talking about startups, if we can just compare that, if you are creating a mobile application, and definitely you will be looking to target all the platforms, you will be looking to target iOS platform, as well as you will be looking to target Android. Also you will be looking to have a website for the same stuff or same product, right? So it would be difficult to manage 3 to 4 developers, right? But if you have a Flutter developer, all the three things would be just done by one single person. So it would definitely save a lot of development time, and also save you a lot of resources. So that is one really good point which Flutter helps you. So Flutter can also be used as a business solution, correct? Because you don't need a lot of time, or you don't need a lot of developers. Just one person can do the job of 3 person if he knows Flutter, correct? So that was one point which I missed. Now I was talking about Dart, right? That with the help of Dart, you can do designing, you can do business logic, and you can create beautiful UIs in Flutter. So what exactly is Dart? That is the question. Or why we should be using Dart. So for the why, I have already given the answer, that just learning one thing and you get to do all three things with the help of Dart. Learning Dart won't be a very difficult curve for you guys, because Dart is not like the newest programming language, or it's not that there would be all the concepts which are very new to uh, developers. If you are familiar with the OOPS concept, if you have worked on web technologies before, or if you have worked on JavaScript before, it would be very easy for you to just start working with that. Now also just one tip from my side, that if you're learning any new programming language, you should not just like uh, give a lot of time, or more and more time to just learning part of it. Learning phase should be divided into two different parts. Learn a little bit, implement it on a project, then learn a little bit, and then again implement it on a project. Maybe it is a small project or a big project, doesn't matter, but this is what your learning curve should, this is how your learning path should be. Learn 2 3 concepts and then try to implement it on the project. So that would be really great for you to just get a gist of that particular programming language. So this is how you should follow the or this is how your learning curve should be. Now talking about Dart, it's definitely not a new language. A lot of you guys might be listening it out for the first time, but it's not the new language. If you might have heard about Angular, so Angular, which was launched by Google in, I guess, 2012 it was. So the very first version of Angular, which was known as Angular JS, later they started naming it Angular 2, Angular 3, Angular 4, like that. But the very first version of Angular, which was launched in 2012, was based on Dart. Angular JS first ever version was written in Dart. But due to some issues, or at that particular time, Dart was relatively new in 2012. uh, it was not able to just cope up with all the functionalities. So with the later versions in Angular 2, 3, and 4, they shifted to TypeScript. But Dart is there since 2012, when the very first version of Angular, which was Angular JS, used Dart. So that is one thing which you should definitely know. And the second thing is, Dart is object oriented. So if you are familiar with the OOPS concept and you have learned data structures in your engineering and stuff, so it would be a very just like a cakewalk for you guys. Like the concepts of classes, objects, and polymorphism and inheritance, all these things are like used in Dart as well. It's very similar to all these languages, as I have clearly mentioned. C, C++, JavaScript, and Java. The concepts are almost similar. And it's a statically uh, typed language, which means that you need to define what you're writing. For example, if I'm defining a variable which would be having a string value, so I need to define that, okay, this would be this variable would be having a string. Similarly, I need to define that it's a boolean or an integer or or what sort of number it should be, double or whatever it is. So that's what you need to do. Also, there are multiple run environments, which is clearly understood that since it gives output for different platforms, so you can run it on different development environments as well. Like you can run it on web, you can run it on mobile platforms, be it Android, be it iOS, you can run it on desktop platforms. So there are multiple running environments. And the best way to code in Dart is using Visual Studio Code. I guess everyone would agree with the point. So that is there. Now, so let's talk about the UI part first. So I've explained a bit about Dart. Now let's come back to the Flutter part of it, where I mentioned that you can create really beautiful UIs with the help of Dart. Also, you can create structure. Also, you can uh, design those structure and make beautify them. So this is the basic page layout which you guys are seeing. Just a simple page layout of a website, and there are few design elements which you can see. Correct. So if we had to mark all those design elements, what would be those design elements, right? And generally what we do is that we divide the design elements in rows and columns. I guess the developers who are listening, or the at least the front end developers or the designers who are listening to this, must agree that this is how we look at any website, correct, in terms of rows and columns, because that's the very first thing which clicks in our mind. That if someone is asking you to create a layout, if someone is asking you to create a website, this is how you look at the design. That okay, I can create the very first part in a row, and then second part in three different columns, then I can take a paragraph and all this stuff, correct? So this is how you initially mark the UI. And exactly same concept is used in Dart as well. The concept which you guys use in creating HTML or CSS website, the same concept is used in Dart as well. So you look for rows and columns. Is there a grid in the design? Are there any overlapping elements? So if there is an overlapping element, you used position in HTML. In Dart, there's a stack which you can use. Is there a tab or not? And what would be the padding and margin of the element? So this is how you look at it, correct? If we dig down further to every single element, then you can divide again every element into much more minute level. That a row has 3 columns over here, and then every column is a group of icon and text. So that is also a text and column. Text and icon can also again be considered as a column, right? Icon and text. So this is how you granularly design or divide the design. Again, having another look at the different design specification. So you can divide it into text, you can divide it into icon, then column and children and everything. Right. Now, uh, After having divided this design into all the uh, patterns or all the small UI components, what a HTML CSS developer would do is he'll start creating rows and columns with the help of row tag or div tag or all that stuff. Correct. Now talking about Dart, so what Dart provides you is Dart provides you a unique widget. In HTML we call it element, but in Dart we call them widgets. So Dart provides you widgets for every small or every unique UI component. So there would be a widget for button, there would be a widget for text, there would be a widget for icon, there would be a widget for title section, there would be a widget for let's say padding, there would be a widget for creating margin. So every design element would be having a widget of its own. So the readability just goes to 100%. You know everything. As soon as you have a look at the code, it's clearly understood to you that okay, this is the widget which is giving padding, this is the widget which has icon inside it, this is the widget which has text inside it. While in HTML that was pretty difficult to understand because everything was just mashed up inside of divs and divs. You had to give classes to everyone to recognize all the stuff. But in Dart, that's not the case. There's a widget for everything, so it's the code becomes really readable. So now what we'll do is we'll try to compare the codes of HTML, and on the right side there's a code for Dart. So as I said, if you have to create a box in HTML, which is the code written at the left side, you will create a div, give it a class, and then later on what you will do is you will give CSS to that particular class, which is gray box. So we have given the CSS, which is background color, we have given width, we have given height, and then we have given a joint font CSS property, which is 900 would be the font weight, and then 24 pixel would be the font size, and the Georgia would be the font family. So this is how you create a box in HTML with the help of HTML and CSS. Now let's have a look at the right side. So on the right side, as I have mentioned, this would be the very first instance when you guys will be having a look at the Dart code. So as I mentioned that Dart is object oriented language. So in object oriented language, everything is a class, which is clearly known to everyone. So every UI element is a class and every UI element is a widget. So if we need to create a box, what we'll take is a container widget first of all. So in that particular container widget, what we need to do is we need to give a text which is lorem ipsum. So again we'll take another widget, which is the name of the widget is text. So the container's child will become now text. So then as I said that Dart can be used to provide CSS property as well. So the text will now have a style key, and then that key will take a text style object, and then text style object would be taking all the CSS properties, which is font size, font weight, and all those stuff. So this is how you write the text. And then if you want to write the CSS properties of the container, so you can later on carry and mention the width, height, and color property of the text, the container. So within just one single programming language, you created the text as well, you mentioned the CSS property of text as well, and also you created the container. So all the three things just covered with the one programming language, which is Dart. And being a web developer, it would be definitely easier for you guys, or even if someone is a web developer, it would be easier for you to just shift to Dart, because most of the concepts look similar. Like you're already familiar with writing CSS and creating UI elements, so it would be much easier for you guys to shift to Dart. So yeah, that was there while we were talking about Dart, or the creating of Flutter uh, widgets. So similarly, there are lots and lots of widgets of Flutter which are available. I just gave you an example of one widget, which was container and text. If you want to have a look at all the other UI widgets, you can just visit this particular website. If you want, you can take a screenshot of this, or else I'll share the PPT in the comment sections as well. So there's a widget available, just like there are widgets available in Bootstrap or any other CSS frameworks which you guys must be using or must have used. There are widgets for drop down, for models, for bottom sheets, for sidebar, navigation, tabs, icons. Everything is available in uh, Dart in the form of widgets, and that's the best part of Dart. And also, all the widgets take care of the platform specific code by themselves, because not everything looks similar on different devices. If there's a mobile application which is having a certain UI on Android platform, it's not the same scenario on the iOS platform. It might look different on iOS platform, so you don't have to manage all that stuff in your Dart code. The widget takes care of that particular thing by itself. You just need to mention that code. For example, a drop down looks different on iOS apps, a drop down looks different on Android apps. So the widget catalog will take care of that particular thing by themselves. So you can have a look at all those widgets over there. Now, let's talk about actual use cases, or how what are the tools available when you work with the Flutter SDK. Correct. So just the developer talks. So there are different uh, steps available, or there are different commands available when we talk about Flutter. First of all, the installation is very easy. You just need to visit flutter.io. There's a zip package available for Flutter. You just need to download it and extract it, and automatically Flutter would be installed in your system. That's the very basic step which you need to do. And once it's installed, you just need to check that, okay, if everything is properly installed or not. So that's how you can do it. You just need to write Flutter doctor after installing Flutter doctor in your command line. Flutter will check all the necessary requirements are completed or not, and it will give you a good to go that, okay, Flutter is ready to be used in your system. So this is how you can check by typing Flutter doctor. Now, if you want to upgrade to the latest version of Flutter, from next time you don't need to download it. You just need to use the command panel, and you can write Flutter upgrade, and Flutter will upgrade itself to the latest version. So that's how it is. Next important thing. So these are the important files in the Flutter folder structure, which I'm just taking you guys through. Or the important aspects of a Flutter folder, Flutter mobile application when you will start developing. So there's a pubspec.yaml file also available in the project. Whenever you will create a latest or a new Flutter project, there are dependencies in your project, right? Whenever you create a project, there are dependencies, or there are different libraries which you want to use into your project as a dependency. So this is the file where you can mention all those dependencies. First few lines are the details of your project, and then later you can mention all the dependencies. For example, like if you want to use Firebase authentication, or the Firebase database and all that stuff, you can mention all those dependencies in the pubspec.yaml file. For example, if you are using some plugin of video, or some plugin which does some specific work, a calendar plugin, or a time conversion plugin, so all those plugins you can mention in this particular file. So this is how you do that. Then once you have written the names of all those files, if there's a need to download those plugins, you just need to run this command, which is flutter packages get. Flutter will automatically download all the packages and keep it into your local repository, so that you can use it for the development part. There are few different commands like flutter format, which automatically beautifies your code based on the SDK which you are using. There's another command which is flutter analyze. This command checks for possible errors in your code, and tells you that, okay, this is where application might crash, or this is where you need to check some stuff. So you can run flutter analyze command to just have a look at that part of it as well. So those were the basic commands. Another important feature which Flutter provides is hot reload. A lot of web developers might already be um, mm, sort of knowing this term, which is that as soon as you change something in your HTML code and just uh, like click on the refresh button on the uh, Chrome's tab, and that's how you just see the changes you have done in the HTML part. This is the basic part of it. If you're using Angular or React, the browser automatically redirects as soon as you save the file after making changes. But that was not the scenario for the mobile application development. Every time you made some change in your UI or in your functionalities, you had to rerun the um, mobile application and had to wait for like, based on the system's capability, you had to wait for like 2-3 minutes to just application to start again, and you had to, then you can have a look at the changes. Flutter provides you hot reload in case of mobile applications as well. So this was the basic example which I can show it to you. So I'm changing the text of the button element, and as soon as I click on save, you can see it on the right side that it directly reflected on the screen. Also, if I change the counter from plus plus to minus, you can see that if I'll click on the button now, instead of increasing the number, it would decrease it. And if I'll again make the counter to plus, it will again start increasing the counter. So this is the very unique feature which Flutter provides, which is of hot reload in case of mobile applications as well. And this really saves a lot of time from the developer's point of view, because it's very it's very sort of irritating to just wait for uh, the build to finish every time you make a small change into the project. So this is the another thing which Flutter provides. Great. Now let's talk about widgets again. We're done with the basic and the important functionalities which Flutter provides. Everything is in form of widgets when we talk about Flutter. Even if you are creating a routing element, even if you are creating a new widget, even if you are creating a new UI element, whatever you do in Flutter, the term widget would be very, very useful for you. So it's really important to understand that what exactly widgets are. Till now, we have used widgets for creating UI elements, as you have seen in the example, which was we created a container. Now, widgets are basically divided in two types when we talk about Flutter. So there are two types of widgets. One is stateful widget, and the second one is stateless widget. As you can see in the chart, that there are few examples which are mentioned in the case of stateless widget, which is like an image or a text or a span you can take, right? And when we see the chart for stateful widget, the examples contain scrollable, animatable, and all those stuff. So like it's visible that there is a small difference between the stateless and stateful widget. If you'll see that the contents which are having stateless widgets are very seems like static content, like the content inside them won't change. But when we see the stateful widgets, there's a scrollable, there's a animatable, there's a lots of uh, interaction or things changing inside the stateful widget. So if we have to define the stateful and stateless widget, let's start with the stateless widget. So talking about stateless widgets are used for immutable elements. Basically, they rely on the object's configuration, or in simple language, stateless widgets are those widgets which just have single state. For example, if we have a text element, so the data is coming from API, and whatever data is coming from the API, the text element would just print that data, and that's all. for the complete uh, life cycle of the app. That's what that is the text which that text element would be having. Similar case in the case of image. Whatever URL of the image is provided to that particular widget, the image would be shown in that particular widget. Nothing would happen after that. Correct. So all these type of elements which do not change for the life cycle of the app, or which are immutable, they won't be having any changes. Even if user tries to interact with it, it won't be changing, right? It would be having the same stuff. So those type of elements are known as stateless widgets, which do not change even on the user interaction. But talking about stateful widgets are used for the elements that can dynamically change based on the state of the system. For example, if you have a button uh, which is a like button, for example, which likes the content, so it changes its color on users click. If there's a element which is draggable, basically you can drag the element from one place to another in UI, that can be known as a stateful element. List which can be scrolled, that can be known as a stateful element. So all these elements which change on user interaction, or which change dynamically based on the data, all those elements are known as stateful widgets. So these are the two major differences, or major two classifications of widgets in Flutter. And that's all about the widgets section, which you need to know. There are two types of widget. Either it would be a stateless widget, or it would be a stateful widget. So these are the two basic things which you need to know about Flutter's widget that we have covered. So now these are the few examples of the widgets which have created with the help of Flutter. uh, it's very easy to use Flutter, so you can focus more and more on user experience, because a lot of things are already available in Flutter in terms of widgets. So you can experiment more, and you can sort of innovate more. So all these things which you can directly create with the help of Flutter, and it's very easy. All the elements are available, like carousel, like parallax effect, the counter object, and all those stuff are already available. So these are the few examples also which you can try. Now one last thing about Flutter, which is platform channels. Now as I mentioned in the very first slide, that Flutter helps you to create applications for different platforms, be it Android, be it iOS, be it web or desktop. You can create applications for almost all the platforms. Now uh, there are some specific scenarios where uh, the Flutter or the Dart code is not able to perform at that level where the native code might perform. Correct. There are few functionalities which work better if written in the native code itself, right? That's the originality, because that's why a lot of guys prefer the native code. But what Flutter does is, Flutter provides you ways to just interact with the native platform as well, so that if you want to write some functionality with the help of native code, you don't have to worry about that. You can write that as well. For example, if the 100% of the application is written, or if the 90% of the application is written in Dart, and there are few concepts, 10% of the functionalities which I want to write on the platform specific channel, I can do that as well. If my application is having a feature of camera, if my application is having a feature of maps, for example, correct. Now there are Google Maps on Android, and then you might want to use the native iOS map on the iOS channel, right? So these type of functionality where they completely differ on different platforms, for these type of functionalities you can use platform channels. What platform channels does, they provide you features to write platform specific code, like Android specific code, iOS specific code inside of Flutter. So this is the basic chart which is sort of explaining you what I just told, that you have a Flutter app which is your client. Now there are method channels for different platforms. For example, they can be a method channel for iOS, they can be a method channel for Android. So what the method channel does is it lets you interact with the particular platform, and then it brings you the information from the platform and shows it in your Flutter application. For example, the case of maps, if we want to use maps for our application, so method channel will make sure that if the user is on iOS platform, it would run the code, or it would take the Flutter channel to iOS host and bring those specific functionalities and show it to the user. And if the user is on Android platform, it would take help of that particular method channel which is written for Android and shows the Android maps, or the native maps which is used for Android. So this is again another important feature which is provided for Flutter, so that if you want to use some native code, you don't have to just uh, worry about that, oh, what should I do now. So you can write the native code as well in your Flutter application. Great. So coming towards the end of the session, these are the few blogs which you guys can have a look at for the introduction of Flutter, or basic concepts of the Flutter, or uh, beginners. I would suggest, like, if you want to just begin with the Flutter learning, you can just have a look at all these blogs. Great. Also, if you want to just have a hands-on on Flutter, or if you want to just have a look at, okay, how Flutter exactly works, if you want to learn the how to set up a folder structure in Flutter, and what should I do if I want to learn Flutter, so you can just scan this QR code. There's a proper code lab available for getting started with Flutter, which has a step-by-step guide that, okay, firstly you need to do this, second you need to do this, and there's a demo GitHub project also available on the same URL. You can just have a look at it and get started with your Flutter development. Great. So that is there. I guess that's all about the introduction to Flutter. uh, I tried to finish it on time. There's so many things about Flutter which are really interesting. What my agenda of today was to give you all the important aspects, all the very uh, uh, unique selling points of Flutter, so that you guys are really interested. You guys really get interested into Flutter and start working with that. I tried to do that, and there are more and more important, or more and more useful features which are available in Flutter. Just visit the website, you'll have a look at it, and you'll get to know about it. And I would suggest that even if you're a web developer, or a mobile, already a mobile application developer, just try it out, because who doesn't wants to learn, right? If you're a web developer, and if you can create a mobile application which would run on different platforms, it would be definitely a boost into your uh, job profile in your career as well. So yeah, that's about Flutter. And if there are any questions, as I said, you can definitely post it anytime on the YouTube section, comment section, or wherever you feel like. Also, you can connect with me on various platforms. I'm available almost on the all major social media platforms. So these are the uh, usernames or the handles on which you can connect with me. Yeah, that's all from my side. Thanks for listening patiently, and thanks to the Complete Industry Connect event and the organizer for hosting me. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mrinal sir. And, we'll wait for questions. So if anyone has any questions related to us, related to the topics that have been covered in this webinar, you can type in the live chat and we'll take it. So Mrinal sir is here with us for the next 15 minutes. So get this chance to interact with him, ask him questions. Let us any questions you can comment in the live chat. So yeah, and to be honest, Renal sir, like I really enjoyed the session. I learned a lot of things about Flutter, because I have heard about Flutter but haven't tried it yet, or don't know about what are the inside functions are. But this complete introduction about Flutter gave me an idea about like how should I like start the development and what are the tools we can use. And thanks for this amazing, insightful session. It would really help a lot of like people who are starting with Flutter. And thank you so much. Thank you very much for this session. We'll take questions. So
Great,
please,
great, great.
everyone, like anyone has any questions, they can type in the live chat and we'll take it. So yeah, so Mrinal sir, a question from my side. I wanted to ask,
Hmm.
like you are associated with BT right? But
Yes.
like how has been your experience working there? Like, do you work on more on Flutter there, or do you hardcode?
So, for me, Wittyfeed, working with Wittyfeed has been a roller coaster ride, basically. So, as of now, currently, definitely, yes, I'm working on Flutter in Wittyfeed. But I started as a web developer in Wittyfeed 2 years back. So, I have worked on HTML, Angular, React, PHP, almost all the technologies on in Wittyfeed previously, but from past almost like 7-8 months, I have shifted to mobile application platform, and I'm working on Flutter over there. So we are creating an OTT application for Indian users with the help of Flutter. It would be the
That
first application, first OTT platform which is built on Flutter. So that is there. That's
Flutter.
what we are creating with the
That's
help of Flutter,
amazing.
and it's really,
Amazing.
really, really smooth. It's really smooth.
Yeah, that's great, sir. And like, how has been your experience like, when you initially when you first started coding? What was the experience like? Like, when did you got to know about Flutter, and when did you start?
So Flutter came so basically Flutter was so we were looking for a solution, like every startup goes through some crunch timings, right? So uh, we were short of developers at some particular time. I had to I was, as I said, that I was a web developer initially, so I was creating websites for Wittyfeed at that particular time. But there was also a requirement for a iOS developer. There was also a requirement for Android developer. So at that moment, I got to know about Flutter. When I was searching for it, it's like almost a year or like 15, 16 months before. So that's when I got to know that, okay, with the help of Flutter, you can create iOS applications, Android applications, as well as web applications. So that's when I thought that, okay, I'm already a good web developer. So let's just try it out. Let's try Flutter, and let's give it a shot. And trust me, now I feel like that, oh great, Flutter is even more easier than HTML and CSS, because that's how it is. You need, for developing websites in HTML, you had to learn HTML, you had to learn CSS, and then you had to learn JavaScript as well, because that's the combo which is really required for creating a website. Even if you are not good at one particular thing, your website won't be looking great. Like if you don't know
Yeah,
if you don't have a good hand at CSS, your website won't look good. If you don't have a good hand at JavaScript, the
yes.
interactivity would be missing. But in case of Flutter,
Obviously,
you just need to know Dart. With the help of Dart, you can write almost all this stuff. You can create UI, you can write business logic, you can do API calls with the Dart. So just Dart, and you can do everything in Flutter. So that's how it helped me, and it came as
yeah.
a
So
solution for
how,
me. Yeah,
yeah. So how much time did you take to learn Flutter? Like simply like I got to know about Flutter today by attending
yeah.
this webinar. So to
Uh,
master it, how many days does it take, or it may take months, or maybe like some more time? Like what is the estimated time it would take if you like sit
yeah.
and
So if you,
like
yeah, correct,
learn?
correct. So that's where I as when I was explaining about Dart, that's what I mentioned. So for me, Flutter was like a very I would say, like I had to learn it. So what I did was, and what I the process or the method which I apply when I learn any new concept or any new programming languages, that keep it in chunks. Just go through the initial documents for like 2-3 days and directly start applying it on the projects. So for me, it just took like a 2 weeks learning phase, 2 or 3 weeks learning phase, where I was just continuously going through the documents, and right after 2 to 3 weeks I started making projects, or started applying projects. So it's a 2 to 3 week transition phase. Even if you are an Android developer, even if you are a web developer, it won't take more than that, because it's just about the way in which Dart is written. Once you get familiar with that, everything is almost the same. I might have shown the example of the code as well. So everything is exactly the same. If you want to write CSS, there are same CSS properties available. If you want to create UI, there are same UI elements available, just in the form of widgets. So it's just a 2 to 3 week learning phase. Not like 2 to 3 week is also much more time. If you'll just give it to 1 or 2 week, and then you will be good to go, for me.
Yeah, so I was just checking out your LinkedIn profile, and I saw that you
Mm.
have 7 years of experience being a Mozilla representative. So what is that?
Yes, yes.
What love for my Mozilla you have?
So basically, I started my tech speaker journey with the help of Mozilla. Back in
Wow.
college, when I was in like second year, I got to know about a program which was being run by Mozilla, which is Mozilla Representative Program. So just a quick information about Mozilla. Mozilla is a volunteer-driven organization. If you'll have a look at the number of employees, the full-time employees of Mozilla, they are just like 100 or 150. There are definitely less than 150 employees of Mozilla on a global level. Like calculating the number of employees from all the countries, there are less than 150 employees for Mozilla. So Mozilla, all the Firefox browser and all the products which are there of Mozilla, they are built with the help of volunteers, and those volunteers are known as Mozilla representatives. So I got to know about that okay, there's a Mozilla representative program. So I applied for that, and I got selected for that. And that was a very interesting and very great learning curve for me. I got to learn directly from the Mozillian employees who are like really good at the technology and really good at JavaScript. No need to mention, because when I joined Mozilla as a Mozilla representative, the CEO of Mozilla was Mr. Brandon Eich, who is the founder of JavaScript. So that was
Wow.
the learning. Yeah, that was the impact I got from the Mozilla community. I was directly learning from the creators, and like literally from the creator of JavaScript. So
Yeah.
that created really great impact on my professional career. And from there, I got to just I got a gist of that. If the creator of JavaScript is really looking to educate people, why can't I do it? So from there, I got a very uh, I just got that tech speaker quality into me, that wherever I get to share my knowledge, I just do it. So it's the
Yeah,
journey from there.
that's pretty much inspiring, sir. And thanks for sharing that. And I hope that there are no questions, because the way you explained it, I guess that the people who watch it, they have hope that you were slow and steady, like you were explaining each and every properly. So if you have any questions after the session, you can maybe comment and like let us know, or maybe you can reach out to me. His link to his link handle is in the description box, so do check it out.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, before we leave, like I hope that like we are running like with the clock and minutes left. So before we go, I wanted to ask you, sir, like you were for Facebook developer circles, okay? And I was also aspiring to get into Facebook developer circles, because I'm a
Mhm.
part of Microsoft Student Loan Ambassador community. I've been stuck with the community for 1 year, more than 1 year,
Mhm.
and also I've been working with other communities as well, and this community as well, which I'm very much like very much passionate about communities and building communities. So can you just tell me like the way to get into developer circle? How
So
can
yeah,
we get into
Facebook.
it?
So yeah, it's almost similar to the process is almost similar to all the other developer circles which are available, be it of Google or be it of any other company. So you just need to connect with the nearest developer circle lead from your city. In your case, which city are you from?
I'm from Mumbai.
Mumbai. So yeah, so there's a developer circle in Mumbai itself. Just need to reach out to your nearest. You just need to reach out the developer circle lead over there, and then it depends on you in what terms you want to contribute to the community, because that is very important. Joining a community is a simple task. You can join their WhatsApp group, you can join their Facebook group. It's not even a task, but uh, getting to know that what is the purpose of joining that community, that you need to define first. As a contributor, as a learner, how you want to join, that you need to discuss with the community lead, and based on that particular discussion, you can the community lead will guide you through the contributing path. If you want to join as a speaker, as a contributor, as a manager in that particular developer circle, there are different tasks available. So for Mumbai, Gaurang Shetty is the developer circle lead. You can just Google him. He's a pretty famous guy. Not in Mumbai, in the Indian circuit as well. So you can just Google him and connect with him. He'll definitely help you out growing
Great.
in developer
Thanks for
circle.
providing.
Yeah.
Thanks for providing that contact, sir. I'll definitely look forward to it. Okay.
Hmm.
And yeah, so we'll wrap up this session. And thank you all so much for attending. I hope that you don't have any questions. If you have any questions, again, you can reach out to Mrinal sir after this session, or maybe you can comment like in the chat box right now, or maybe you can comment it later. And like one more time, thank you Mrinal sir for this insightful session, and I wish you best of luck for your journey ahead. And thank you for being a part of this community and like doing this webinar with us. It would really help out a lot of people right now who are watching us, or maybe who will watch this thing later. Okay, and giving you an update, all of you who are watching us about tomorrow's session. So tomorrow is our day 4. It's going to be our second last day for the event Industry Connect, and it's going to be delivered by Suman Devnath. And the topic for the webinar is coding cloud. He's going to be talking about AWS cloud. So this is also an amazing topic to learn. So make sure you join tomorrow as well with the same enthusiastic attitude to learn something, just like you joined today. Like for the past 3 days, you have been joining. And thank you so much for all your support you've been giving. Please do follow us. Please do subscribe to our channel and stay connected with us for more such events in future. And I wish that this specific webinar was helpful to you. And thank you so much, Mrinal sir, for everything. And hope you all have a nice day. Thank you so much.